Okay, so I've got here the existing space, and I've started modelling in the proposal. Just on the outside, I've put this deck in, but now I want to go and start modifying the interior and really start laying out my design. So I'll just show you the 3D view that doesn't have a section box, so you can see everything I've got. And now I'm going to go back to the main bathroom level plan, and I'm going to start by putting in the kind of floor that I want before I even change the shape of the floors or the walls. So I'm going to select this floor, and you can see it's just a generic 150mm floor. It's the one that I started with in the project at the beginning. So I'm going to click Edit Type there, and then I'm going to duplicate that floor to make a new one. I'm going to call it Main Bathroom Floor. So this is the floor I'm going to use for most of this space. And I'm going to click Edit next to Structure to change it. Now, just so you can see the changes as I make them, I'm going to click Preview over on the left, and you can see there's just one component in there at the moment, and it's this one over here, the structure, which just is 150mm thick. So always remember, the core boundaries aren't components, they're boundaries to the components. And I want to add a new component, so I'm going to click Insert, and I'm going to move it up to the top just using the up button here. So it's at the top now. And while I'm here, I'm going to change the thickness to 20. So you can see now there's a new component over on the left. Now, I want to change that material and its function, so I want that just to be a finish. So finish 1 is fine. And I'm going to change the material by clicking in that field and then browse the button with the dots on it. And then I'm going to start with the ceramic tile material. Now, I want a material similar to this, but not exactly like that one. So I want to make some changes. So I'm going to click the duplicate button down the bottom, and I'll give it a new name. So I'm going to call that ceramic tile bathroom. And I'm going to go straight to render appearance and click replace to choose a new tile. So this one here I'm happy with, the 4-inch square blue. So it's going to render with that material. But in the views I've been working in so far, it won't look any different. So I'm going to go back to graphics, and I'm going to start by ticking use render appearance for shading. And you can see then that it's got a new colour. And it's basically matching the colour that I have in the render appearance. So now my shaded colour in the views that you can see, well, underneath here, it'll come up that colour. So I'm going to leave it at that. I'm just going to click OK. And you can see there that the colour's changed. Oh, thanks. And now if I click OK again, and again, the colour has changed. I can't see it yet. You might think that's the colour, but that's actually just the colour you get when you select something. I'm going to click to one side, and now I can see the colour that it's changed to. Right, now, I want the shape of this floor to change as well. I don't need this wall in my design, so I'm going to delete that. And I'm going to delete this other wall. And you might think, well, what was the point of putting him in the first place? It's just to make sure the set out's right, as well as also just giving you some experience modelling up the existing. Also, I don't need this floor, and I'm going to make those stairs again in a new location and with slightly different heights, so I'll delete them as well. It's easier to make them again. So now, I want to bring the edge of this floor across to the right. So I'm going to select it, and I click Edit Boundary to do that. And then I want it to be 2 meters from this edge. Now, you can move it across directly, but something that can help you there is a reference plane, just like you were doing right at the beginning. So I'm going to draw a reference plane in there and change this measurement to 2000. And now I can select all of these lines using a window, left to right, click the move button, and pick it up on the edge of that line, and I'm going to move it over onto this reference plane. So now this edge is exactly 2 meters from the wall. The reference plane doesn't need to be there anymore, so I can delete that. So I've got the shape of the floor changed. I'm going to click tick, and that now extends. This floor I want to bring back to the left. So I'm going to again select it, click edit boundary, and I can simply move this line. Now you can use the move button here, or in many cases you can just click and drag once it's selected and it should snap to other edges. That's in the right place. Now I can always check by selecting it, and you can see that the dimension there is 2000, so that's right. So tick to finish it, and again I want this to have the same finish, so I can simply now choose the floor I've just made, main bathroom floor, and that's going to set exactly the same material. Okay, so back in the 3D view, you can see my 2 new floors at the new heights. Now I want to make some new walls, or really just one new wall. Okay, so I'm going to draw a wall, and I'm going to start with one that's as close as possible to the one I want. So generic 100mm is close to the one I want, but it doesn't have the right material. So again, I'm going to click edit type to make a new one. I'm going to click duplicate again, and I'm going to call this cedar clad stud wall. Okay, and then just like the floor, I'm going to click edit next to structure to add in also, so to make changes to my components. I'm not going to add any components. All I'm going to do is change the material of this component. So just to show you, I just clicked on the browse button there. So I'm going to go down the list there, and you can see we've got all of these wood materials. Wood sheathing plywood is probably the closest to the one I want. So I'm going to select it, duplicate again. I'm going to change this to wood cladding cedar. So now, again, just like the floor, I'm going to go to render appearance, click replace, and I'm actually going to get my cladding using flooring. So the wood flooring wood will give me that. There's all sorts of wood down the bottom as well, but for boards, the flooring's good. And so I've got one here which should work pretty well. Here we go, the hardwood planks. I'll show you later on how you can get any image you like into your materials, but for now that one will do. So that's how it'll render. But again, it hasn't changed the shading or the main material yet. So I'm going to tick, again, use render appearance for shading. You can see this time it's giving me a really dark colour, which is maybe too dark for the views that I am going to use, the plans and the sections. So now I'm going to turn this off. You can see it's kept that colour, but I can adjust it now and make it lighter. I can even change the hue if I want, but I'm happy with it like that, that'll do. And also I want to add in a surface pattern. Now, the one I want isn't there in the list, but they're easy to make. Don't be afraid of making these. If you can hatch by hand, you can make these patterns. They're pretty simple. By clicking on the browse button, you need to decide whether it's model or drafting. Here, because it's a surface pattern, I'm going to use model. And that's a pretty good rule of thumb. Even though you've got a choice, a pretty good rule of thumb is to use model patterns for surface patterns and drafting patterns for cut patterns. If you follow that rule, you should be right most of the time. And in fact, for cut patterns, you can only use drafting patterns. You don't have a choice. So now I'm going to click the New button. And I'm going to make my new name 75 mil vertical. I'm going to make the line angle 90. And the line spacing 75 mil. So I've got these parallel lines at a spacing that I've set. And it's in real world units. That's what a model pattern is. Okay, so it's just like drafting, really. It's the same idea as crosshatching. If you want to crosshatch, instead of parallel lines, you choose crosshatch down the bottom and it gives you perpendicular lines. Okay, it's already got one. I actually had made this earlier. So I can choose it from the list. Sorry, I forgot I did make it earlier. 75 mil vertical is there. Okay, so I'm going to click OK and set that pattern. So OK again, and again. And now I'm going to draw my wall. Now I'm just going to do this very roughly for now. I can come back later and adjust the spacing. And you can see it's given me a new wall, but at the moment the colour hasn't changed. It's going to change to a fine view down the bottom on the view control bar. You'll see if I go to fine, you can see there that the colour is different. But with coarse, it's not. And that's because there's one other thing you need to think about with materials. You'll see when you click edit type, some things have a coarse colour that's separate to the main material, which is actually useful. It means you can have a simpler colour or just a simple colour for coarse display, and for the more detailed displays you can have different colours and complex patterns and things like that. So all I'm going to do here is set a colour, which is roughly the same as what I had before, something like this. Will do. Or you can choose from the colours over here. Now it's done, okay, and you can see it's got a new colour there. Okay, so now it has a new colour. Maybe it's not that different to the main wall, but you can see there that it is different. And then when I go to fine, it brings in the hatch pattern as well. Okay, so looking into a 3D view now, I'll just go to the one from the courtyard, just so you can see inside there. This wall's got a new colour and pattern on the surface, but what about the main walls going around the space? They need to be clad with the same material, in my design anyway. So I'm going to go to the main 3D view there that shows everything, so you can see all of the walls that I need to fix up. The problem with those walls on the outside is that they shouldn't have this material all the way through. It should just be on this side, definitely not on the other side. So there's a really good tool for that. On the Modify tab, you've got Paint. Now, am I using 2012 here? No, it's 2011. Just watch out, on your machines, it might just come up as a small button over here. So that's the other place it lives. But you'll find it in that geometry panel. So always on the Modify tab, you should be able to find the Paint button. So there's the smaller version, that's the bigger button. Doesn't matter which one you use, they're the same. Okay, so with Paint, you can see they've both become active now. You need to have the material made in advance. So you can't just go to Paint and then make your material on the fly the way I did with the floor and the wall just then. You need the material to already be made. But I've made it. I made it for the wall, so I've got it there, wood cladding cedar. And now I can just pick a surface on that wall. So you can change the material of any surface in Revit, just like this. So that's now changed. The other side's still as it was. I can do this all the way around. It's going to pick that one as well. But if I pick this wall, well, I'll show you what will happen. The whole thing changes. And I don't want that. So I'm going to undo that. Control Z. I just want to change the inside. I don't want to change the part next to the courtyard. So, yep, exactly. I need to split that wall into two pieces. So I'm just going to click onto the edge of that wall there that I want to split. And now it's broken into two parts. It won't look any different in the plan, but when I go to use paint, I can pick just this part of it. I can do the same on the other end. So I'll just orbit around. So again, using split element, making sure I get the right wall. And the easiest way is to choose on an edge where you know it couldn't be any other wall. So it's split the wall, and now again I can use paint and just choose the inside face. So you can see there I've got new material all the way around the interior of that space. Later on I'm going to take out most of these openings and put a big opening all the way across, and I'm going to add a lot of furniture and other things in here, or fittings. But that's enough to, I think, get you started. So I'll finish that up there, and I'll come around and help you out with any issues you might have.